एष देवो विश्वकर्मा महात्मा सदा जनानां हृदये सन्निविष्टः। ॐ सहना भवतु।
सहना भवतु।
सहनौ भुनक्तु।
सहनौ भुनक्तु।
सह वीर्यं करवावहै।
सह वीर्यं करवावहै।
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु।
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु।
मा विद्विषावहै।
मा विद्विषावहै।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
We will chant the yesterday's 2 verses and then go ahead. That is from 1.3.3 onwards. कल 1.3.3 and 1.3.4 हो गया. We will just chant and go forward. Shall I start? आत्मानं रथिनं विद्धि।
आत्मानं रथिनं विद्धि।
शरीरं रथमेव तु।
शरीरं रथमेव तु।
बुद्धिं तु सारथिं विद्धि।
बुद्धिं तु सारथिं विद्धि।
मनः प्रग्रहमेव च।
मनः प्रग्रहमेव च।
इन्द्रियाणि हयानाहुः।
इन्द्रियाणि हयानाहुः।
विषयांस्तेषु गोचरान्।
विषयांस्तेषु गोचरान्।
आत्मेन्द्रियमनोयुक्तम्।
आत्मेन्द्रियमनोयुक्तं।
भोक्तेत्याहुर्मनीषिणः।
भोक्तेत्याहुर्मनीषिणः.
So I said that the practical instructions start from here. He has already presented the philosophy as well as what one has to do, the difficulty, everything. Now he is guiding the seeker right from the beginning, how one has to progress on this path. So absolutely from the beginning, he is guiding the seeker. And he is taking the example, as I said yesterday, of the chariot. You show the first slide there? Of the chariot. The chariot is the body and our soul, Atma, that we know of, that is our I, which is the egoistic I, of course. But the Atma we know of, that is the soul here. Now that is not the real soul. Our ultimate destination is that soul becoming the real identity of us, the universal, transcendental one, or even beyond one, that is transcendental identity. So the destination of the chariot is to reach the ultimate goal, as I said, of Brahma Atma Ekatva Bodha, Brahmatma Ekatva Bodha. That is, the Atma is nothing different from Brahman. And where we start from is Dehatma Bodha, that we consider our Deha to be I. That is the Dehatma Bodha. We consider our Atma is with the Deha, Dehatma Bodha. Now in the chariot example itself, you will find that the master of the chariot, which is compared with the soul, he doesn't confuse himself with the chariot. When I am sitting on the chariot or in the motor car, do we think that I am the motor car? We are not. So this illustration has been given with a certain aim, that we are wrongly assuming that we are the motor car, we are the body. You understand that he is saying Shariram Rathamevatu. That body is the Ratha. But the master of the chariot, the soul, will not think that the Ratha is me. So they are first of all pointing out our mistake, our delusion, that the body is where the Atma is seated. The body is not the Atma. Body is the vehicle for the Atma. Body is an object. Do you get the point? So right in the beginning, the difference is pointed out, that we should not consider me to be the body. That is where we have started from, Dehatma Bodha. To go to Brahmatmaikatva Bodha, we have to proceed step by step. Now, how are we to proceed? As I explained yesterday, that they are comparing the soul with the master of the chariot, because where will the chariot go? It depends on the intention of the master. The soul wants to reach its ultimate destination, that is its real identity. Till it meets that goal, its journey is not over. It's just like the river. What is the origin of the river? Tell me. It is the sea, it is the ocean, from where the vapors are coming out. The vapors are going up, and then finally they are taken to the mountain. The rain or the snow comes down on the mountain top. From there the river flows down. And the river runs up to what? Till it meets the sea again and merges its identity there. Then in the sea you cannot make out this is Yamuna, this is Ganga, this is the Nala. Nothing like that. Everything has become sea. Like that, the Atma is actually the universal transcendental consciousness in which the whole universe, which contains my body, mind, personality, is appearing to be. That is our real Atma. So until we get back to our real identity, the journey will be there. So here the chariot's journey is for the soul to reach the ultimate destination of Brahman. That is the real thing. Now for that we have the intelligence. The intelligence is compared with the Sarathi or the charioteer, because it is with the help of, it is the buddhi which finally guides our body, mind, personality, where to go and where not to go, etc. Then, who are the main forces who are dragging us in the world? So, unless we proceed in a proper manner, as I said, that Nayamatma balahine labhyo Nacha pramadat tapaso vapyalingat. That day I explained that by improper tapas it cannot be had. So to make our effort proper, we have to understand every bit of our personality. That is what Bhagavad Gita does in detail. That why are we incorporating these three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, and so many other concepts there. It is only to understand our personality and where we need the treatment, where we need the correction, so that we can reach the goal. So here it is very clear that the intelligence does not have direct access to the senses. Suppose the buddhi says something, it is not able to control the senses. The buddhi has to work through the mind. You understand? Finally, the senses are linked to the mind, and the buddhi can operate only through the mind. That is why they have put mind as the reins, as the mind, the lagam, the pragraha. That is the mind. So, for the chariot to reach its destination, its motion has to be clear, without any internal friction, internal agitation. It has to be an integrated motion taking us direct towards the goal. For that, first of all, the horses has to be disciplined. They have to be trained. They have to be disciplined. This has to be done. Without that, nothing can happen. As our indriyas, if they are not disciplined right from the beginning, then we cannot do anything. Even a small boy, unless he is put into the discipline of learning the alphabets, learning the grammar, learning the literature, what will he do? His mind will always remain restless. He will not be able to do anything. So right from childhood, we put him under discipline, studies, food, everywhere we incorporate discipline. So initially, discipline has to be there for the senses so that the mind can think properly, so that the intelligence can guide properly. Without the senses being disciplined, nothing can be done. So then, to guide the senses, we need the intelligence's proper direction, and that whatever the intelligence wants, to carry it through the horses, the reins have to be taut. The reins have to be powerful, have to be strong. Suppose he pulls the reins and it breaks, then the horses will again run here and there. He will not be able to control. So to make the reins strong means what? To make the mind really strong. What do we need? It needs the discipline for the mind. As for the make the horses trained and proper, we need discipline of the senses. Like that, to make the mind proper, make the mind strong, we need discipline for the mind. That is why we have introduced all this Vishnu Sahasranama chanting or some meditation or some asana, pranayama, all these things. They are all to discipline the mind. And various other things to read, what is to be read throughout the day. The parents will say that you should not sit in front of the TV throughout the day watching all nonsense films and all. It will not be good for the mind. The mind will go haywire then. It will never get discipline. So for the mind, we have to give the mental discipline of thoughts, ideals, values, everything. Through that, the mind will become strong. But nowadays, we don't give those disciplines properly. Vishnu Sahasranama to chant, it is not easy because it's not just the tongue twister. We have to be very attentive. What Ucharana is, first of all, we have to listen to the proper pronunciation, understand the intricacies of the pronunciation. Then when the tongue is pronouncing, we have to hear the pronunciation, the shabdas, and understand where it is going wrong. The moment we identify where it is going wrong, again hearing, and through the brain, we are again putting the tongue under a different condition to have the proper ucharana. So much of attention of the mind is necessary. If you regularly, every day give such attention, will not the mind become strong? So right from childhood, from the very young age, these disciplines were being given. Then it is not just that. Even if you produce the proper ucharana, the chanting will not be proper. You have to understand the meaning of it. For that, the mind has to be fully engaged. Not only meaning, what the deeper meaning is, what is the bhava of it. To make the ucharana really powerful, it has to be associated with the proper emotional quality, proper bhava. So for that, the intelligence will have to be attentive. So the whole body, the tongue, the mind, the intelligence, everything is getting integrated in that process. They are all put into a discipline. Suppose there is a term called what is that? Maha? No, that is not in Vishnu Sahasranam. Anyway, suppose there is a term called Mahakatta, Mahabhokta, something like that. Now the Maha, if you don't understand the meaning of Maha, and if you chant like Mahakatta, Mahabhokta, it will not mean anything. Maha, you have to say Maha. Mahakatta. When you say in English, very big, will you not say very big or will you say very big? So unless that bhava, the emotional association is there, the words will not have the power to act on your body, mind, personality. When the words are chanted properly with the proper emphasis, proper bhava, then it will act on you as well as the atmosphere, as well as on others also. It will have its transforming power, so that this integration of the personality takes place. But we violated all these things, we have neglected all these things. So the whole country is suffering, because now the present youth, what are we finding? That the mind is absolutely disoriented. The intelligence also thinks in its own manner. So the whole society is getting disoriented. It would not be like that provided we institute the disciplines right from the childhood. So we should have a strong mind for which mental disciplines are necessary. Then for the intelligence to grow sharp and subtle and pure, what are the disciplines necessary? For the intelligence's work is to analyze and understand. So we have to read such things or understand such things which will make the intelligence subtle. It can be some our subjects also. When we study very abstract subjects, the intelligence has to develop. But in spirituality, what we do, this concept of the soul itself is transcendental. To understand through the intelligence, it means a great effort, not only effort, a culture in the intelligence. So the intelligence has to be, that is why we always say that Shastras have to be read. Reading is not for only knowing and gulping the whatever is written in the book. More than we read, we have to do manana. That is, engage the intelligence in the thought of the transcendental truth. That whatever we are interacting with in the fragmented world, in the variegated world, that is not the only thing. There is something on which the whole world is appearing to be. To do that, the intelligence has to be made subtle. And reading the Shastras with more rumination than reading, it will definitely, the intelligence will undergo that culture. So the intelligence will become sukshma and sukshma, and it will get integrated with the soul. With the soul, why? We are studying about what is our real identity. And finally, what has the charioteer to do to take the chariot to the proper destination? The charioteer must ask the master of the chariot that, sir, what do you want to go? Where do you want to go? The driver of the car will ask the master, where shall I drive? So unless he is always connected to the master of the chariot, he will drive it wrongly. You understand? It's a very subtle point that we are always use the word integrated, anchored, etc. I am using. But it means that the intelligence should always look to the master of the chariot, that is to our soul, our inmost identity, that where shall I drive the chariot? That is, how will I act? Suppose we have a situation, I don't know whether it is to be taken, the A path to be taken or B path to be taken. We have to look to our inmost soul. You may say, I don't know what is soul. No, you cannot say, because everybody has got an inner voice, which you cannot negate. Generally, being attracted and repelled by the world, we don't heed the inner voice, but the inner voice is always there, because our soul, that is our real identity. The soul parameters are love, compassion, expansion, unity in diversity. These not a single human being is there who say that I don't like love, I don't like compassion, I don't like a team where we are integrated, I don't like anybody at all, I will live alone. No sane people can say like that. That is our souls. They are the soul's qualities. So everybody has it. And whenever we are doing anything wrong, there is a voice from inside is saying that no, what you are doing is not right, not right. But we don't heed the voice because we are so much slave to the external world that we are not able to help our greed for something. We are not able to help our fear against something, facing something, fear of facing something, fear of losing something, or greed for getting something, gaining something. These are the things which make us slave to the world situation and don't allow us to heed the soul's voice. Inner voice everybody has. And moment you start heeding the voice, it will become louder and louder, means more and more audible to you. Because if once you control your external behavior, listening to the inner voice, you will get the joy of it, because by that you get connected to the source of the joy, the Atma, which is the source of all the joy. So you will get a very deep joy when you are listening to the inner voice. Suppose externally you are losing money, externally you are losing position, but you are doing righteous something where you are getting connected to the inner soul. You will find internally stronger. You will find lighter inside. You will not feel heavy, weak inside. So there is the voice, and we can always heed. The more and more we heed this voice, we will find that we are able to hear always. Whenever we are on the crossroad, we will be able to find out that what is the inner voice saying. That is the soul's voice. That is how the right charioteer, the intelligence which has been trained properly, which has undergone the proper refinement and purity, will always be able to listen to the soul, to the master of the chariot, and direct the chariot accordingly. And whatever he wants, if the mind is strong, if the reins are strong, then whatever the intelligence wants will be directed to the senses, and the senses will go according to that direction. So that is why we have called it integrated personality. In the verses, this illustration, about 4-5 verses are there. We will discuss. So I am first of all explaining not this. This is what I have said just now. Disciplined senses following the mind guided by the intelligence guided by the inner voice, lead us to integrated personality. Here, integrated personality, it is not just in the management sense. Here, integration in the spiritual sense, which means all the aspects, all the parts of our personality are integrated. That means there is no internal friction. Normally, you will find always there is a friction between the intelligence and the mind. The intelligence says that you do it, but the mind doesn't accept. Because of it, the senses are greedy. Even if the mind says that no, we don't want to do it, but the senses are pulling so much that finally the mind supports it. So everywhere there is a friction. Even the intelligence also almost thinking always crookedly to satisfy the senses and satisfy the mind. So there is always an internal friction going on. In Yoga Shastra it is called klesha. All our vrittis, they are undergoing klesha. That is what makes us small, makes us disturbed, makes us unsatisfied. They take away our peace, take away our prasada. That is what. The prasada dawns when everything becomes integrated, as I have explained yesterday also. So this is what we want. Now, abhi theek hai, off kar do. Next we will have that other one, Ragadvesha. That later on, you switch off that. Now we will go through the shlokas and find how Kathopanishad is explaining the different parts of the integration. Go to 1.3.5. Yastu avijnanavan bhavati.
Yastu avijnanavan bhavati.
Ayuktena manasa sada.
Ayuktena manasa sada.
Tasyendriyanyavashyani.
Tasyendriyanyavashyani.
Dushtasva iva sarathe.
Dushtasva iva sarathe.
There are many sandhis here. It is yah tu avijnanavan. It is not vijnanavan, it is avijnanavan. Yah tu avijnanavan bhavati ayuktena manasa sada. Tasya indriyani avashyani. Tasya indriyani avashyani. Dushta ashva iva sarathehe. He says that who is avijnanavan. See, all these qualities now they are specifying to reach the destination. What should be the quality of the intelligence? What should be the qualities of the mind? And what should be the senses as a whole? All these are an integration. Now, as yesterday we explained against a question, that all the changes have to be brought about in the different aspects of the personality. The soul never undergoes any change. The soul, there cannot be any change because it is the revealer of everything. Whatever changes we are seeing, finding, knowing, they are all changes in the objective level. Even thoughts are object, emotions are object. They are subtle objects. They are not like the gross objects, but they are subtle objects because I am seeing the thought, I am knowing the emotions. So that I never undergoes any change. So it is able to see all the changes in the thoughts, changes in the emotions, everything. So all the changes will take place in our intelligence, mind, senses, emotion, body, etc. No change will take place in the soul at all. The soul only will reveal the changes, reveal everything. So here, Vijnanavan, that is one who has the Vijnana. This is a quality of the intelligence. Actually, Vijnanavan means Vivekavan also, you can say. I will explain it further. Vijnanavan means who is wise. The intelligence has to be wise. But truly speaking in spirituality, Vijnanavan means the intelligence has the Viveka. That is what the first day I explained, the Sadhana Chatushtaya. It is Vivekavan. ayuktena manasa sada, whose mind is not ayukta, means it can be interpreted in two manner. One is unconnected, delinked. Yukta means connected. It can be also moderate. Now, moderate is a secondary expression. If it remains connected to the soul, connected to the intelligence, then the mind will always be moderate. We will be behaving in a moderate manner. Yuktahara viharasya yuktacheshtasya. What is that in Bhagavad Gita? It is 6.17 in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita 6.17. This yuktata has been explained here. Actually, it is 6.14 to 17. He is saying, Prashantatma vigatabhihi brahmachari vrate sthitaha manas samyamya machitto yukta sitamatparaha. Here he introduced the yukta, that who considers me, that is the soul, to be the supreme. Matparaha means considering the soul to be supreme. He remains always aware of my reality, my supremacy, and remain connected there. Yukta asita matpara means who is always anchored in its real identity. Yunjannevam sadatmanam yogi niyatamanasah shantim nirvana paramam matsamstham adhigacchati. Always remaining anchored like this, he attains the ultimate Shantim Nirvana Paramam. This is the whole path. Then he says, Natyashnatastu yogosti nachaikantam anashnataha nachati swapnashilasya jagrato naivacharjuna. He says that one who does not eat at all, or who overeats, one who does not sleep at all, one who oversleeps, the yoga is not meant for that. So we are meaning that the moderate in his way. But truly speaking, moderate, to become moderate, we have to be connected to the Viveka Buddhi, connected to our real identity. That is the Yuktata, he has explained. Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapna babodhasya yogo bhavati dukkhaha. The yoga will become facile. This is very important. Dukkhaha means it will take away all our sufferings. The yoga will become facile. When we are always anchored in our Viveka Buddhi, and through that to our real identity. Then whatever we are doing, all ahara and vihara. Ahara means all the inputs we are taking from the world, not only the food through the mouth. It is the vision through the eyes, it is the sound through the ears, whatever inputs we are taking from the world. In taking it, we remain connected. We remain anchored. So even if somebody is not all right, showing lot of temper or anything, if you remain connected to your real identity, then you will not be disturbed by it. Generally, whenever somebody is abusing us, immediately we are returning the abuse in a double manner, becoming more agitated. But if you remain connected, then you will immediately think that, well, whatever he is saying, it has no meaning. It is, I have not done it also. Maybe he has some trouble also. So you will not lose your self-seatedness. You will remain anchored. Then automatically your behavior will become more powerful and more moderate and poised. You get it? Not able to understand? Whenever we remain anchored to our real identity, we remain yukta, then automatically our food also will become moderate, because we will not overeat, we will not undereat. Seeing the food, we will know that, oh, because of greed for a taste, I am taking it, but it is not good for my body. I have this problem, that problem. So we will not take it. Generally, the moment we see something which I like, immediately we start gulping it. So we have a practice that don't do like that. Have the Brahmarpanam mantra before taking food, so that the mind becomes anchored. The mind becomes peaceful, mind becomes settled. If you are guided by the greed of your tongue, then you will take the wrong things in a wrong manner and overdose of it. Or you will not take the right thing also. So before that, you become peaceful by chanting the mantra. What is the Brahmarpanam mantra? It is saying everything is same, everywhere it is the Brahman alone. So naturally that will wash up the lingering taste and greed resting in your tongue and in your mind. We call it Achamana mantra. Achamana means washing off. Actually, we do only mouth washing. But what we do is the internal washing has to be done. Our taste has to be washed. Because after taking food, suppose you have liked something, that lingering taste will make you take it again, even if it is not worthy of taking. So before doing anything, the lingering tastes have to be removed, not only for food, for everything. So we have Achamana for the eyes, Achamana for the ears. Everywhere we establish Vishnu. In the mantras, even now you will find perhaps the priests do it. Whether they do it meaningfully, I don't know. But we have to establish Vishnu in all our sense organs. Why? Vishnu, the word means Vyapnoti iti Vishnu. That means he is all pervading. Vishnu is not just the 400 Vishnu. When you go to that is how our scriptures, they have given the name, although they may picture a 400 Vishnu so that all people can get attracted with a beautiful moon-like face and all. But when you actually proceed towards that, they will say that Vishnu words means all pervading. You don't have to go to Vaikuntha to see the Vishnu. He is right there in your heart, your own Atma, as your own identity. That is the real Vishnu, because it is all pervading. Vyapnoti iti Vishnu. Vaikuntha means Vikuntha. Kuntha means constriction. Our mind, heart always is constricted, miserly, constricted. Always blaming people, criticizing people, looking for something, looking for gain, avoiding any liberal things. So it is a constricted mindset we are having. Vaikuntha means where the mind becomes free of all constrictions. Vikuntha, Vaikuntha has come from there. So Vishnu is right here. And when you reach Vishnu, you have reached the Vaikuntha, because the mind becomes infinite. The mind becomes all pervasive. You lose all your constrictions, everything. The words are carrying like that. Vaikuntha is not in that you have to take a chariot going to the heaven and reach the Vaikuntha. It is not like that. Chariot is inside. That is what the shlokas will say. The last shloka will say that he reaches the lotus feet of Vishnu. What is that Vishnu? The all-pervading reality. That is the Vaikuntha, because there is no constriction, no miserliness at all. So this yuktata actually means remaining connected with our inmost soul, inmost identity. This we should remember. And nobody can say that I have not discovered my real identity, so how can I remain connected? No. You can remain connected because that inner voice is there. You might not have realized the ultimate truth, but that voice will lead you to the final merger with our real identity. Unless we are heeding that voice, we can never reach that real identity. So he says that yahtu avidhyanavan bhavati, that is, who has never paid any heed to developing the viveka buddhi. Normally our buddhi is called Vishaya buddhi. Vishaya means the fragmented worldly gains and losses, etc. So whenever we want something, whether it is fame or money or wealth or any little appreciation, the buddhi is guiding us to have that gain from the world. That is why it is called Vishaya buddhi. Suppose somebody you are going to meet, if you speak sweetly, perhaps he will like you. So you artificially speak sweetly, although your mind is bubbling with fire. Even then you will speak sweetly. That is the Vishaya buddhi. You know that here he is my boss, so if I emit fire, then it is not going to work. I have to speak sweetly to the boss. Whereas to the subordinate, you don't have that restriction, so you fire there. But the Viveka buddhi will make you speak to the boss also, not aggressively, but speak the truth in a moderate manner, taking him into confidence, and speak to the subordinate also in a loving manner, owning him up and loving him. So both the behaviors will be controlled when we remain anchored. So this is what the Viveka buddhi does. Now one who does not have the Viveka buddhi, I said that this is the Vishaya buddhi people generally have. The purpose of spirituality is to replace the Vishaya buddhi by Viveka buddhi, by always connecting the buddhi to our real identity, the inmost self, so that we are always guided by the inner voice. Ayuktena manasa sada. It is not only the buddhi. What is the property of the mind? The mind always remain ayukta, not anchored, not connected to the intelligence and not anchored to the soul also. It is restlessly going around. Actually, it remains connected to the senses. That is, whatever the senses want, according to that, the mind goes on provoking. So, ayukta manasa is an unconnected mind. That means who is not having a comprehensive vision. We are always suffering from this ayukta manasa. Suppose here, Swamiji had been telling thousands of times that don't gossip in the satsang hall, don't shout in the satsang hall, don't speak loudly in the nakshetra, maintain silence, only whatever you need. All other talks can be outside. But are we following it? I found that some people are meditating here and some people are making lot of hallagulla here. Doing some work, but there is a lot of chaos around. What is it happening? The person who is shifting the chairs or arranging something, in his mind, his work is that perhaps. I don't know whether it is necessary to do at that time. But he wants to do something, that is there. But he is unconcerned about some other people sitting there and meditating. Why it is happening? Because we are selfish. Because we are not connected to our real identity. We do not have a comprehensive vision of whatever everybody wants, whatever others are wanting. Is it not so? This, if you are watchful, you will find in every step of our behavior we are doing it. Suddenly we start shouting in the mobile, not being careful about what is happening around. Maybe in the room, even when we are forgetting to switch off the mobile, is it not an unconnectedness that we are coming for a certain lecture and it is not an ordinary lecture? We are discussing the highest truth in a highest manner based on some very sacred Upanishad which was not available to others. It was meant, restricted only to few people who have left everything. That was the Upanishad. There, when we are entering, if we forget to switch off the mobile, is it not unconnected mind? Why are you forgetting? Because you are unconcerned about the lecture getting disturbed or so. Everywhere you will find we are not connected. We are behaving casually. Ayukta manasa is our greatest trouble, is the greatest disease we are suffering. All of us are suffering from. The more you become connected, why are we coming to the ashram? We come to the ashram to get some benefit. What is that benefit? It is not the bookish knowledge. We are not distributing bookish knowledge. It is a change, it is a transformation in us. Unless we behave in a particular manner which is suitable to the ashram atmosphere, which is conducive to the aim of an ashram. The aim of an ashram is to institute Brahma Vidya and make everybody connected. Now, if we flout that in any respect, anywhere, then are we not coming and it becomes self-defeating? We are not behaving in a conducive manner. So why have we opened the ashram? There is no reason for opening it. If people come here and don't follow their behavior is not conducive to it. And if our old people do like that, the old associates, then what will the new people do? They might have come with lot of sacredness and feeling beforehand when they are arriving here. So when they came, they were in a better shape of mind. The mind was yukta, because they are going to take something very sacred, some highest knowledge or so. But coming here, seeing people gossiping and moving around and in a casual manner, their mind also loses that. So actually they are losing that anchored, that one-pointedness. Am I correct? So we have to be watchful. That is spirituality. Spirituality is always to look into ourselves and see where are the changes necessary. That is what I pointed out the first day in the Shanti Mantra. The last word is Ma Vidvisha Vahai. So people ask, where is the question of intolerance between the teacher and the student? And there is only question of intolerance between the teacher and the student. Because this is a sadhana of transformation. The teacher has to point out all the defects a person is having. Otherwise he is not a teacher. So no disciple will like to be pointed out. The moment the teacher points out, they get angry with the teacher also. So this is the problem we are having everywhere. We should be watchful and see. So this is the meaning of ayukta manasaha. Ayukta means the mind does not remain connected to the intelligence which is connected to the inner voice. That is, in sequence, which remains unconnected to the inner voice or the soul, our real identity, which is universal. So we are always selfish in our behavior because that universal connection has been lost. Even intelligentially also we don't think. We don't value the others. Suppose the whole universe, it is existing on the basis of a rhythm, on the basis of unity. Right from the atom, if you look into the atom, the elementary particles, if you look into a crystal, the crystal particles at the corners, etc. Everywhere there is a harmony, there is a discipline. If you look at the astronomical level, where the galaxies, planets, and the sun and stars are there, there also everything is undergoing a disciplined motion. A little bit of fluctuation in that is not possible, because the whole thing will collapse then. So the whole universe is running on a teamwork, a harmony amongst infinite number of objects, infinite number of events. There is destruction, there is creation also. There is harmony. So if we are not concerned about others in our society, in our family, in our institution, then how can it be in consonance with the universal harmony? It can never be. So we are not concerned about others. Our selfishness makes us absolutely ayukta, not connected to the real self, not connected to the real harmony. And not only that, he says, ayuktena manasa sada, that is always unconnected. What happens to him? Tasya indriyani avashyani, his senses will never be under his guidance. Avash. They will not be under our vash. They will not be under our control. The senses will always misbehave. They will always misbehave. Like dushtashva iva sarathe, like the naughty horses of the charioteer. If you cannot, yesterday I gave our example of riding the bullock cart. So it is like that. The cart will go haywire, run into the pond or run into the grazing field. That is the naughty horses they do. Initially, to tame a horse, it is not easy. There are a special trainer who will sit on the horse. The horse will try to kick him off always. You must be knowing. The trainer, when he first sits, it is worth seeing how he wants to kick off the person. So he has to train and finally put the mask and then use that horse for riding. The next one, verse. Now, these are all just the opposite verse. Here he said, what will happen if the buddhi is avijnanavan, that means not the viveka buddhi, but vishaya buddhi. If the mind is not anchored to the real identity, is unconnected always, then what happens to the indriyas also? There is no point in blaming the indriyas. It is because you have not controlled the indriyas or not disciplined the indriyas by your mind and buddhi. The problem is there. The indriyas are misbehaving, but because you have not disciplined them by applying your mind and your buddhi and getting connected to your inner voice or inner reality. Yastu vijnanavan bhavati,
Yastu vijnanavan bhavati,
yuktena manasa sada,
yuktena manasa sada.
Yastu vijnanavan bhavati,
Yastu vijnanavan bhavati,
yuktena manasa sada,
yuktena manasa sada.
tasyendriyani vashyani,
Tasyendriyani vashyani,
sadashvaiva sarathe,
sadashvaiva sarathe.
Yuktena manasa sada, and his mind is always connected. Connected to what? The real identity through the buddhi. The mind should be connected to such a buddhi. The mind also is connected to the viveka buddhi. Through that, it is connected to the directions of the soul, the master of the chariot. Tasya indriyani vashyani. His senses will not misbehave. His senses will be automatically behaving properly. So it is not a control from outside. Normally, whenever we speak about discipline, control, we have a feeling that it's a control, external control. We subdue the indriyas. Don't do this, don't do that, because you will be taken to the jail or you will be punished or so. That is an outer control. In Vedanta, we never speak of any outer control, because outer control does not work. Outer control, if you subdue anything, later on, it will come back with redoubled force. When our body becomes weak, we become old, it will come back with redoubled force. So Vedanta, to attain the ultimate destination, we have a complete wash of our personality, a full transformation, purification, refinement of our personality. And all these changes are done from in outward, not from outward in, from the outside inward. It is all coming from within. The main discipline is coming from our real identity. And our purpose only is to keep our anchorage in that real identity. All transformations will come from there. Because everything, all the troubles we are having are from the ignorance. That is, our real identity is covered, and we think that I am body, mind, limited, puny I, that small I am. And that is creating all the trouble. The moment we associate ourselves with the true inmost identity, which is universal, then all the troubles will go. So, tasya indriyani vashyani, it is not really vash, it is niyamya. That means it is an inner discipline which guides the indriyas in that case. He will like good food, but he will not be greedy of it. He will not get attached to it and overeat or anything wrong he will do. He will like good food. Good food who will not like? And good food means which is suitable to his body, which is nourishing to the body, he will like. So there is not an outer control. It is an inner discipline which will come to the outer personality also. Sadashva iva sarathe. It is just like the trained horses of a charioteer. The Indriyas will behave like the trained horses of the charioteer. They will not lead us to the wrong way. Yastu avijnanavan bhavati.
Yastu avijnanavan bhavati.
Amanaskah sada shuchihi.
Amanaskah sada shuchihi.
You should pronounce it properly, that it should not appear like sada shuchihi. It is sada ashuchihi. Although the I is dropped, but the pronunciation will have a little elongation there to understand that it is not shuchihi. Otherwise it will mean the opposite. Yastu avijnanavan bhavati.
Yastu avijnanavan bhavati.
Amanaskah sada shuchihi.
Amanaskah sada shuchihi.
Nasatat padamapnoti.
Nasadat padamapnoti.
Samsaram chadhigacchati.
Samsaram chadhigacchati.
He says again, see, whenever the Shastras repeat one word, it means the importance of that. These are some key things we should know. One word, if they go on repeating means that is given more importance. This avijnanavan and vijnanavan, they are repeating in the shlokas. That means the primary level of operation should be with the buddhi. That the buddhi has to be reinforced with viveka. It must become viveka buddhi. From the vishaya buddhi, it must get over the slavery of the vishayas. That is, our buddhi is slave to the world situation, world objects, attraction, repulsion, etc. It has to win over that slavery and get connected to the viveka. So here he has repeated, avijnanavan bhavati. Amanaskaha. This is also repeated. Amanaskaha means, again, unconnected mind, haywire mind, always moving here and there. Not under any discipline. Then he has added one more word here, sada ashuchihi. Ashuchihi. This ashuchihi, shuchitva, means pavitrata generally. Shuchitva can be external shuchitva as we do in our behavior, clothes, food, kitchen, everywhere we maintain. Shuchitva means purity. Similarly, more important is internal shuchitva. Internal shuchitva can be defined in many ways, but finally it boils down, if you know that much, it is enough. It is freed of ragadvesha. Freed of ragadvesha. This raga and dvesha, which means clinging to what I like and hating what I dislike. This intolerance or hatred and greed and clinging, which makes the mind impure. Well, you can call it desire, Desire is also, it is the same thing. Whether you call it ragadvesha or desire is also like that. Desire to gain something where you have raga, desire to avoid something where you have dvesha. If you call it fear, it is okay. Fear to lose something which you like, or fear to face something which you dislike. All will come to same ragadvesha. It is basically we call it bheda buddhi, because ragadvesha is the ultimate differential notion we have to overcome. Bheda buddhi means which always differentiate. This is what I like, this is what I dislike. So it is the freedom from the bheda buddhi. So we generally call the parakashta of shuchitva. That is, parakashta means the peak, the pinnacle of shuchitva is the Atma. The soul is the absolutely Shuchi, because there the bheda of subject-object differentiation also is not there. That I am knowing something, it is the subject-object differentiation. The knowledge is object and I am knowing, I am the subject. The soul we will attain only when we transcend that duality also, the subject-object. So before that, this subject-object duality is also a bheda, also a differential notion. This is the last ashuchitta we have. So when we cross over that, transcend that subject-object duality, we become Shuchi, the mind becomes like the Atma. That is why it is said the Atma is nothing other than the pure mind. Vishuddha mind, that itself is Atma. Because there it transcends all the Ashuchitva, all the Bheda Buddhi, everything. On the other hand, also you can say this Ashuchitva is coming from our slavery to the objective situation. That we are always clinging to what we like, trying to gain that, and always hating what we dislike. This is our slavery to the object situation. That is also the Ashuchitva. Whatever way you describe, it comes down to the same thing. It finally comes down to ragadvesha. That is why Bhagavad Gita always goes on saying ragadvesha, ragadvesha. Ragadvesha viyukta istu vishayan indriyaischaran atmavashair vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. Prasadam adhigacchati. A person without the ragadvesha, he is moving in the same world, but not under the slavery of the world. He is atmavasha, atmavash. He is connected to his Atma and he is moving with the guidance of the Atma, guidance from his innermost soul, guidance of his Viveka Buddhi. Whenever the Buddhi gets connected to the soul, we call it Viveka Buddhi. So he is guided by his Viveka Buddhi. Atmavashair, Vidheya Atma. His whole being is under a harmony, discipline, rhythm. Prasadam adhigacchati. There is no internal clash. So he has the placidity of the mind. Internally, he always feels the placidity. So everywhere it comes down to the ragadvesha. A person whose buddhi is avijnanavan, whose mind is not connected, amanaskaha, his mind is, amanaska means as if he does not have a mind, it is always restless, moving around. Sada ashuchihi, that the mind is haunted by ragadvesha, full of ragadvesha. See, who likes such a situation when our mind is full of ragadvesha? Are we not constantly throughout the day thinking ill of others, blaming others, criticizing others, or thinking of this I did not get, that I did not get, I will never be able to forget this, forget that. Our mind, we fill with all these thoughts. Does anybody like such a situation of the mind? Are you not happier when the mind thinks very lovingly, universally, peacefully about everybody, embracing everybody? Where is a person who will not like such a mind? But see how we host all these differential thoughts, ragadvesha thoughts, only to remain disturbed throughout. With a long face we live our life. Yugas and years and yugas pass, the face becomes longer and longer and longer, with depression and anger and whatnot. But everybody, if they think, they will find that they don't like this situation. But by habit, because they have never tried the other way. The moment we practice the other way, you will be so happy that you will start enjoying life so much that why have I been suffering so long? You will feel foolish about yourself. What I have done throughout my life? Why have I been suffering like this? There is no reason at all. If I love people, we think in a comprehensive manner. If we accept others' opinion, give that also a place, discuss things in a phenomenological manner on the basis of reason, not on the basis of ego, then everything becomes so harmonious, so good, that everybody will like such a situation. But how we go on hosting by habit all the thoughts and analysis which makes our mind cluttered, punishing. So that is the meaning of ashuchi mind. Nasa tat padam apnoti. He does not attain that ultimate goal. Padam means the goal, ultimate goal. What is the goal? Brahma-atmaikatva bodha, the last, that universal identity, the spiritual goal. He never attains that goal. Samsaram chadigacchati. He only attains samsara. Now see, samsara we use always, but do we think about the word meaning? Sanskrit word meanings are like that. Samsara means samyak sarati iti samsara. Samyak sarati iti samsara. Sarati means moving. That is, anything in this creation, in this world, it cannot exist without movement. Everything is futile. Everything is under causality, birth and death. Every moment, millions of cells are dying and millions of cells are getting born. Every time, everywhere, the cause is dying and the effect is getting born. Without movement, the creation would not have been there. The energy means movement. The basis of creation is energy. Parashakti. That Parashakti means movement. But see, in this changeful, which is the basis of the world, is change. By samsara, giving the name samsara, what they mean is that the fundamental basis of this world is changefulness, futility. But we then, living in that, we try to hold on to building, hold on to money, hold on to relatives, hold on to son, hold on to, and kick away the daughter-in-law, everything. How much we want to hold on to things. But suppose we understand that, yes, I am living with him, but anytime he may go. I may fall off. Either he may go or I may also fall dead. Next moment I may fall dead. Who knows? It is surprising that we are not falling dead every moment. If you think of our brain, the complicated machine it is. All the machines are getting bad today. This was not working. This did not work. Finally, the camera did not work. Without light, we are carrying on. See, what is there in a light? Nothing. Even that is failing. And what is this machine? Any moment it can fail, we will fall dead, but we don't remember that. We try to hold on to this, hold on to our fame, our name. उसने ये बोला था ना, हम जब तक ना हमारा देह चिता पर जाएगी, हम नहीं भूलेंगे, नहीं बदला लेंगे. क्या बदला लेना है? कहाँ बदला लेना है? So, samsaram chadi gacchati. यस्तु अविज्ञानवान् भवति
यस्त्वविज्ञानवान् भवति
अमनस्कः सदा शुचिः
अमनस्कः सदा शुचिः
न स तत्पदमाप्नोति
न स तत्पदमाप्नोति
संसारं चाधिगच्छति
संसारं चाधिगच्छति
यस्तु विज्ञानवान् भवति
यस्तु विज्ञानवान् भवति
समनस्कः सदा शुचिः
समनस्कः सदा शुचिः
स तु तत्पदमाप्नोति
तत्पदमाप्नोति
यस्माद् भूयो न जायते
यस्माद् भूयो न जायते.
Just the opposite of it, that on the other hand, one who has his buddhi always connected to the viveka, that is vijnanavan, and who is samanaskaha, that means he is aware of his mind. That means the mind also is connected to the buddhi. It's under a full realized mind. We often, what we are thinking, we do not know. Amanaska means we are not taking account of what are the mind thinking. What is the mind thinking? That is why I was saying that all the troublesome thoughts, which is creating so much of stress in us, we are suffering from stress. Our face is getting distorted by the stress. Even then, we are not able to get rid of it. Why? Because we are amanaskaha. We are not keeping account of the thoughts, what I am harboring in my mind. We are not keeping record of it. If we can get rid of that, we will find that you will feel inside absolutely free of all stress. Will anybody not be happy with such a situation? We know that it is so, but we are not able to because we are amanaskaha. We are not keeping account of our mind's thoughts. What are the thoughts going on in the mind? So when we become samanaskaha, we are completely aware of our mind and we are connected to the viveka buddhi. Not only that, sada shuchihi. Always the mind is pure. That means it is not hosting the ragadvesha. We are free of the ragadvesha. We may like something, we may dislike something, but we will not cling to what we like. We will not hate what we dislike. Even a criminal we will not hate. That is why the criminals sometimes come to a saint. It has happened in our ashram in so many cases. When they are on parole, they come, some of them have come and confessed whatever they have done, just to get some solace. He knows that here is a saint who will not devalue me, who will not misjudge me. How they know? Automatically they know. They feel that here I can have some comfort. He will not hate me because I have done something very wrong. And he has expressed also what he did and for what. Everything he has confessed. Why do they do that? It is because the saint does not have the ragadvesha. He doesn't hate anybody. He will not become a criminal, but he doesn't hate a criminal. So Sada Shuchi is such a comfortable mind, pure mind, which is free of all stress, tension, which is free of ragadvesha. Satu tat padam apnoti. He attains that pada, that goal. What is that goal? Brahmatmaikatva bodha, that Vishnu, that they will say in the next verse. Yasmat bhuyo na jayate, from which he never gets born. In the earlier case, he said samsaram cha adigacchati. Samsaram means change. Change means causality. Any change means the cause is dying and the effect is born. It is not always the bodily death and bodily janma. Everywhere, every moment, things are dying and things are getting born. Is it not? The whole world is like that. So he will be in the futile world where everything is changeful. He will never get in the earlier words, he will never get the permanent basis of life. He will not be able to have the anchorage and hold on the permanent. Whereas in this case, he will get the permanent from where he doesn't have to get born again. It is taking our scriptures will always have some shlokas where they take the religious models also, because they don't want to denigrate or condemn the religion. The religion is based on certain models, simplified models for the mass, which when we go to spirituality, we have to transform them. The transmigration of the soul is based on the limited, as I have already explained, soul which is moving from this body to that body. For the general bridling the society and consoling the people, various reasons are there, I have discussed earlier. These models are there, and we also do not discourage this model. But anybody wanting to advance in the spiritual path and know the truth, they have to go beyond these models. So Yasmat Bhuyo na Jayate means he will not be born because we are thinking that the other places he will get repeatedly born. That is the transmigration of the soul is taking into account. In his mind, it means that in his mind he will remain in the changeful world only. He will never have the permanent anchorage. That is the real meaning. Next. Vijnana Sarathiryasthu
Jnanasaratthiryastu
Manah Pragrahavan Naraha
Manah Pragrahavan Naraha
Sodhvanah Paramapnoti
Sodhvanah Paramapnoti
Tad Vishnoh Paramam Padam
Tad Vishnoh Paramam Padam
विज्ञानसारथिर्यस्तु
विज्ञानसारथिर्यस्तु
मनः प्रग्रहवान् नरः
मनः प्रग्रहवान् नरः
सोऽध्वनः पारमाप्नोति
सोऽध्वनः पारमाप्नोति
तद्विष्णोः परमं पदम्.
तद्विष्णोः परमं पदम्.
This is the concluding verse of this illustration. He says that after discussing all this, therefore, Vijnana Sarathihi Yah Tu. That means a person whose Sarathi, the charioteer, is Vijnana, the Viveka Buddhi. Guide, his driver is a Viveka Buddhi. Manaha Pragrahavan Naraha. The Naraha, the person whose mind is Pragrahavan. That means he is able to hold the rein properly to guide the horse. That means he has a strong mind, strongly connected, as he has said, Yukta Manasaha, Shuchi Manasaha, all these things. So such a mind will be a strong mind which is always under discipline. Pragrahavan means discipline. The control, you can say, I am not using the word control because it's not an external control, internal discipline. So Pragrahavan means his mind will not misbehave, whatever he wants. There is a very smooth flow of direction there. Whatever the soul wants, the intelligence thinks about it. He passes on to the mind, and the mind passes on to the horses. The whole personality gets integrated, and it moves smoothly to its ultimate destination. Saha advanaha paramapnoti. Advana means the road. He crosses over the road. He reaches the ultimate destination. Advanaha means off the road. Saha advanaha paramapnoti. He crosses over the road, reaches the ultimate destination. And what is the destination? Tat Vishnu paramam padam. That supreme goal, paramam padam, which is called Vishnu. Vishnu means Vyapnoti iti Vishnu, which is all pervading. There is nothing other than Vishnu at all. Everywhere, whatever we see, it is appearing in the soul. So you cannot miss the soul anywhere at all. That is the ultimate goal he attains. I will show you another slide. Can you show that transcending Raga Dvesha, that slide, which will summarize the effort, our sadhana. In Bhagavad Gita, there is a shloka, Uddharet Atmana Atmanam, that we have to put our self-effort to improve ourselves. We cannot say that when God wills, I will attend the Upanishad class. Now God has not willed, so I am going to the market. We cannot say that when God wills, then only I will become good, like Duryodhana. Now God has not willed. There is more also. When I was in IIT, and we were going for some Upanishadic class in the morning, so we met somebody in the market. I said that such a good class is going on. Why don't you come and attend? It will be beneficial. Oh, you don't know what Thakur has said. Bengali Thakur means Ramakrishna Deva. You don't know what Thakur has said. Thakur said that if God does not will, even a leaf of a tree will not move. So God has not willed for him to attend the class, so he is not coming. So I told him that, well, for coming to the market, the God doesn't have to will. For buying materials and cooking and eating and overeating what you like, the God does not have to will. Only to come to the Upanishadic class, God has to will. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. अभी समय नहीं हुआ, आप समझते नहीं हैं. समय नहीं हुआ. जब God doesn't will को छोड़ दिया, अभी समय नहीं हुआ. समय कब होगा? उसमें भी है. हम लोग डिसीव करते हैं बहुत तरह से. वो जानते नहीं है. भगवद गीता 2nd चैप्टर में बोला है कि स्थित्वास्याम अंधकालेपि ब्रह्म निर्वाणम रिच्छति. That even if you have this state at the end of your life, then also you will have Brahma Nirvana. So I will have it at the end of my life. How can you have it at the end of the life when you have throughout life you have आप सबको गाली दिया, ब्लेम किया और सबसे कुछ भी किया वो, और अंत में जाके आपको ब्रह्म निर्वाण पसंद हो जाएगा क्या? ऐसा कभी हो सकता है? वी डिसीव आवरसेल्व्स लेफ्ट एंड राइट. सो देख सकते हैं, ठीक है. यहाँ पे हम दिखाए हैं कि that golden line, the upper portion written with golden letters, that is the proper spiritual path. And niche, whatever I have shown in blue and black, that is the usual worldly ways. Now here very important points are that the physical body with 5 senses, it is constantly interacting with the world. Now attraction and repulsion towards world objects and situations, they consist of the raga dvesha. Now here I want to point out one very important thing. There is nothing wrong with the interactions with the world objects. The wrong comes in the raga dvesha. No interaction will be changed. Even if you become a knower, you will interact with the same world with the same senses. What will not be there is the raga dvesha. So we don't have to do anything in the world. We don't have to change the world. We only have to change ourselves. In Yoga Vasishtha it is said that Purne manasi sampurnam jagat sarvam sudhadravaihi upanad gudhapadasya nanu charmastrutaiva bhuhu. Purne manasi sampurnam jagat sarvam sudhadravaihi upanad gudhapadasya nanu charmastrutaiva bhuhu. He says, when the mind becomes full, manasi purne sati, when the mind becomes full, jagat sarvam sudhadravaihi sampurnam bhavati. The whole world becomes nectarine for him. When the mind becomes full, for him the world also is full. It becomes nectarine. How? Upanat gudhapadasya nanu charmastritaiva bhuhu. When you don't want to touch the dust going out, are you going to cover the whole earth with leather? Or you are putting on the shoes? When you have covered your feet with the leather, you walk anywhere, you will not touch. That is what happens. The change needed is in the mind. The mind, our mind has to be freed of the raga dvesha so that it becomes purna. And then we interact with the same world, nothing happens. Now normally the direction of our control is outward, you see. We are controlled by the outer world. The ragadvesha towards the external situation is controlling our body and senses, and through that the mind. Is it not? The ragadvesha towards the senses. That means that we are always slave to the surrounding objects, situations, etc. That is controlling our body and senses. That is controlling our mind also. And that mind is controlling our buddhi. Because whatever the senses want and the mind wants, that the buddhi, say a thief, how is he applying his buddhi? To thieve properly? His buddhi is always active, but to thieve. Because he wants something, some gain from the world, and his mind also supports that. So his buddhi is always planning how to thieve well. So it is the whole control is outside. The world is controlling our body and senses along with the mind, and that together with the buddhi. We are under the slavery of the external world. In spiritual sadhana, what we are trying to do is that buddhi, we are first of all getting connected to the real identity. That is our inmost identity, our inner voice. When the buddhi is connected to the real identity, the inner voice, it is called viveka buddhi. It is no more the vishaya buddhi. You get it? The buddhi anchored in the real identity, universal identity, is the viveka buddhi, which will always distinguish between the permanent and the impermanent, the shreyas and the preyas. We have defined all these terms. Then, that viveka buddhi will control the mind, and the mind will control the physical body with the 5 senses. Because the control of the external thing through raga dvesha is gone. The whole control is from inside out. So life anchored in real identity, you become master of the world. Because no longer you are under the slavery of the world. It is not that you have to become emperor of the world. You become master of the world because nothing in the world can destabilize you. Whatever happens, you might have lost your relatives, you might have lost your property, wealth, everything. But even then, you will not be destabilized at all. You will remain satisfied. You will accept whatever has happened. By not accepting, what do you gain? Suppose this has happened to anybody. By not acceptance, you are only accepting it, you are only undergoing the tension and stress. It has already happened. By not accepting, what do you gain? You accept the situation, then you can look for redress also. It will be much better. The redress will be easily available. The acceptance will immediately make your mind free of all stress. The stress से मुक्ति मिलने का यही रास्ता है. First accept the situation. Suppose I am thinking, if I fail in the exam, and you are fearful about it, accept the situation. Yes, I have failed. My parents have sent me out of my home. I am moving in the street. Accept the situation. Then your mind becomes free of fear, free of stress. Accept means in your mind, mental experiment, you have to accept fully. Then you will be able to study better. Otherwise, out of fear, you will not study well. Every situation, whatever has happened, if we accept that we have just to operate, एक स्विच ऑन करने के लिए हाथ को मूव करना पड़ता है. इसमें तो कुछ मूव करने का जरूरत नहीं, अंदर में स्विच है. The moment we are stressed, accept button has to be operated. Operate the accept. Press the accept button. Everything will be free. You will become absolutely free of stress. Then you think whatever to be done. फिर से कीजिए, सब कुछ कीजिए, जो करना है कीजिए. So this is what the transcending Ragadvesha means so much. That is why Bhagavad Gita has spent so many verses on Ragadvesha. This is the only trouble we have. If we can transcend Ragadvesha, everything becomes easy. This is the sadhana. एक question है. Yesterday I missed it. I actually did not see it. Respected Swamiji, if desires have reduced and there is understanding of the concept of ourself, if desires are removed, have reduced, not removed, and there is understanding of the concept of ourself, is meditation still necessary? And if so, why? Please explain. See, whether meditation is necessary or not, it depends on your situation. When we are saying that desires have reduced and I have understood the concept of the self, then automatically your mind will be free of all wants, everything. So whether you meditate or not, it does not matter at all. Your normal condition will also be meditation, if it happens really. It is called Sahaja Samadhi. Why should you meditate? Suppose you have, in meditation, you have discovered the Nirguna Brahman or yourself or whatever. That is a state. You have discovered that in the soul. When you are coming out, you find the world, same tormenting, same problem is there. So to come out of the world, again you go into the meditation and go and get some peace and come back. But the world will be again tormenting. So until you know that the whole world also is nothing other than the self, nothing other than the Brahman, the solution doesn't come. Now, if you if you realize that the whole world is nothing but the self which I have discovered in my meditation and samadhi, if you find the same in the world, then will you need any meditation? Because you are finding the same thing here also, automatically you will not meditate. But sometimes the mind will meditate. That is not that you will have to do meditation. Mind sometimes, suppose you have nothing to do, the mind will automatically go to its restful source. Automatically it will go, you will enjoy that state also. When the mind is not there, then also everywhere you are not missing the Lord, missing the self, missing Brahman, anywhere at all. So you will be absolutely, his state cannot be described. He can do anything he likes. His state cannot be restricted by anything at all. He will be restricted by his own samskara. That's all. It is called state of Sahaja Samadhi. Yatra yatra mano yati tatra tatra samadhaya. Wherever his mind goes, there itself is samadhi. Because he does not distinguish anything of the world from the self or Brahman or consciousness. This difference of the two, as long as it is there in our mind, that the world is different and the self is different, all the need for meditation and this and that will be there. Now, in meditation, whoever is doing meditation, he has to understand what is the goal of my meditation. Accordingly, he has to decide. Actually, we say, our Baba used to say that Narayana Tirtha Dev used to say, generally this is lineage going on. They say that, Ore, dhyan korte hai na, dhyan hoy. Narayana Tirtha Dev is this side, then Kshitish Chandra Dev, then Baba, then Swamiji. So, Baba used to say that, Gurudev used to say that, Ore, dhyan korte hai na, dhyan hoy. That means nobody has to meditate. Meditation grips you. Meditation happens, it grips you. You don't have to meditate. And we have found that it is true. We did not have to meditate. Simply meditation gripped. When the meditation grips, you could not keep away from meditation. Those days, now it is not like that. I am saying after getting initiated at that time. So nobody has to do. So as long as we are doing meditation, means we have to be clear about the aim of meditation also. If we are studying the Shastras, we have to be clear about the aim of studying the Shastras also. That Viveka Buddhi has to be always operative. Does it clarify? U.L. Mehta, he is there? Are you clear about it? Huh? Om Sahana Bhavatu.
Om Sahana Bhavatu.
Sahanau Bhunaktu.
Sahanau Bhunaktu.
Sahaviryam Karavavahai.
Sahaviryam Karavavahai.
Tejasvinavadhitamastu.
Tejasvinavadhitamastu.
Ma vidvishavahai.
Ma vidvishavahai.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Hari.